Hi everyone. Founder of eTravel, Garth Wolff, recently diversified into the inbound industry, becoming the chairman and a major shareholder in the Blue Canyon Private Game Reserve up near Hoedspruit. Garth has joined us today to talk to us about the opportunities and challenges of operating in the lodge industry at present and his outlook for the inbound industry going forward. Thanks so much for joining us today, Garth.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, very exciting project. You know, I've always had a passion for the bush. I grew up in Pretoria, going to the Kruger Park 3-4 times a year. My parents loved the Kruger Park. So when I say I've got the bush in my blood, I'm not joking. I've had malaria as well, so excuse the pun. But yeah, you know, as eTravel grew and I handed over the reins to Tammy as MD, I realized from an operational perspective I wasn't needed. So I thought, well, let me get involved in my passion, which is aviation and the bush. And I've actually moved down to Hoedspruit, built a house in a little aviation bush estate. So I can fly in my Cessna 182 and land at Zandspruit. And then around the corner is the Big Five private game reserve that I've bought into. It's known as the Blue Canyon Private Game Reserve. And the name Blue Canyon comes from the Drakensberg Mountain. When you see it some mornings and some nights, it's almost got a blue haze and it's absolutely beautiful. So yes, it's the best of all worlds. I've got the involvement in inbound. Tammy and her team are running eTravel. Obviously now with COVID, I've become more involved in eTravel again as a shareholder. But Blue Canyon is an exciting project. I also thought, well, let me diversify. I've been a firm believer that if you can get a hard currency income with your local rand expense, it's a no-brainer because you're bringing in dollars as income and you're paying in rands and you should have a very healthy margin. Plus the thirst for international guests, or the international guests have this absolute thirst for the bush. I mean, there's nowhere else on this planet that has the type of bush environment that we offer. And I'm talking about Big Five, and I'm also talking about the culture, our African culture that goes with it. Singing and dancing around a fire with an open sky and stars, nothing can compare with it. So I applied some of my hard-earned investments over the last 30 years, even prior to when I was at eTravel. I built up some wealth and I've bought into the Blue Canyon Private Game Reserve. So at Blue Canyon, I don't have a lodge yet. The plan is to build my own lodge one day when there's enough income. But there are 5 lodges or camps on Blue Canyon. 2 of them are tented camps and others are safari camps. They're more in the bracket of 3 to 4 star. And we're talking about 2,500 Rand per night per person sharing. And this is pre-COVID. There's some specials on now. And as the boundaries open, I'm sure some South Africans are going to take advantage of that. And it goes up to about 4,000 Rand per person per night sharing. Obviously, it's a Big Five experience. But the beauty about Blue Canyon Private Game Reserve is it's 10 kilometers from Hoedspruit. So what this means, it's also 6 or 7 kilometers from the Eastgate Airport. And if someone was really clever, like a Richard Branson, they would fly straight from Gatwick into the Hoedspruit area, the Eastgate Airport. I know that it's not open yet for that, but in time, I think, especially with COVID, you know, it would be great for international guests to fly straight from wherever they are into this massive airport. It's the old military airport and the runway is about 4 kilometers long, so it can accommodate absolutely any aircraft. And then it's a 5-6 minute drive from the airport to the Blue Canyon Private Game Reserve gate. And then you're in the Big Five Game Reserve, and it's very close, as I say, to the Drakensberg Mountain. So the vista is absolutely amazing. Plus, we've got a lot of water. So those aspects make it quite unique. You know, it's not just dry, and it's got the mountain, and it's close for international guests. They don't have to fly into OR Tambo, spend another few hours at OR Tambo, fly down to Eastgate, and then drive another hour and a half to the game, to whichever game reserve they're going to. It's very quick to access. So very exciting. Obviously, with COVID, the income stream at both inbound and outbound, or inbound with the game reserve as well as eTravel, has been shut off. So I was planning to diversify for personal reasons and for financial reasons, and there's been no income at the game reserve whatsoever. You know, we make our money from the guests coming in and traverse rights. The vehicles that drive over my farms within the game reserve pay me a traverse fee. And that's how we fund the thing. But in time, I'm going to have a couple of lodges. But I've also realized that I want to do things slowly because you don't want to be caught on the back foot with debt. We've realized how important it is. And I've always said to my e-travel group that pay off your bond, pay off your car, become debt free, and have a war chest of funds for a situation just like COVID. And you know, if people had some money when they went into COVID, they wouldn't have had the stresses that some people had with all the debt that some people actually do have. So I think lesson number one is make sure you're debt free. And but in time, we're going to build a couple of lodges there. And yeah, I'm spending my time there, and I'll be flying between Hoedspruit and Cape Town, where our e-travel head office is.
That sounds absolutely idyllic. So the lodges that were open prior to COVID, are you guys reopening? Have they reopened, or are you still keeping them closed for a little while?
Well, actually, this last weekend we saw our first guests coming to a tented camp, and it's a unique tented camp. It's called Little Africa.
Okay.
And I'm sure you can find it on littleafrica.co.za. And the guy who built it, he just finished it before COVID hit. So he had his first guest last weekend. This guy's actually, he tragically had a car accident 15 years ago, and he's a quadriplegic. But what he's done, which is quite intriguing, he's geared his camp around quadriplegics and paraplegics. So people who are disabled can come to his camp, and he's even got a vehicle that can accommodate wheelchairs. And you know, it's wonderful because he understands that market, and I think he's going to be doing very well in time. But so yes, his lodge was open this last weekend. Some of the other lodges are opening soon, you know, and it's obviously there's a cost-benefit ratio because once borders open, it'll make sense. But one or two of the lodges are really geared 100% on international guests. They won't open until the boundaries, the international borders are open.
Sure. What a fascinating business model. That's great. So talking about the inbound industry, what do you see sort of going forward? And do you have any ideas for new models that will help future-proof things for inbound operators?
Well, I think the fact that South Africa has absolutely everything that any tourists could imagine. I mean, I've said it before. We've got beaches, we've got wine farms, we've got the bush, we've got a unique experience. Our culture, our African culture, as I say, sitting around an open fire under stars is so unique. I don't believe you can have that anywhere. You have that anywhere else in the world. So we've got everything. We just got to make sure we get our guests here. And of course, it's affected by many things. But if we get them here and can move them safely from airports into our safe, secure game reserve, they'll come back and they'll keep coming back. And if the rand depreciates or slips to 18 or 19 or 20 to the dollar, it's good for inbound. So I think it's inbound, Big Five game reserves and Cape, the Cape Town area, Cape and Kruger are two names that pop up throughout the world. You know, so we have it all. We really do. It's just making sure that we can get the guests in safely and securely. And you know, a big part of running these game reserves is it's the security as well as the anti-poaching unit. And we spend a lot of money on the APU team to make sure that our fencing is secure and our animals are secure. And when you've got Big Five, it means rhino. And we all know the risks of housing rhinos. But it's imperative that you spend the money on your anti-poaching unit and the security, because you want your customers to come in, feel safe, and then once they're there, to know that the animals are there for them to see and to look after the creatures, which is exactly what we do. And we dehorn our rhinos, obviously, not because we like to see rhinos running around without a horn, but it's become the norm because of the demand for the horn is so high that you need to dehorn your rhinos every 12 to 24 months.
Sure. Well, good luck with the new venture, and thank you, Garth. It's great to catch up with you and find out about all your new plans and to hear wonderful stories about new lodges receiving their first guests in August 2020. Thanks,
Super,
Garth.
Sarah. Well, thanks for the time. And yes, I'm very excited for 2021. I know we just got to get through a few more months, but everyone's preparing, and both from the e-travel side or the South African outbound travel sector, everyone's ready. We're waiting. The factories are ready. And in the inbound, it might be a little bit slower, but I'm sure by April next year, we're going to see our lodges full again. And it's a very exciting time for me personally and for both Blue Canyon and e-travel. So thank you for the time, and take care and look after yourselves and be safe.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cool.
Take care.